Oh, hey there. Welcome to the Nostalgiceum, where looking back at the past is a great way to spend the present. I'm your host, Nostalgic Travis, and I'm here to officially announce the summer hiatus is over. Now, the summer was particularly busy for me, and so I wasn't able to do much in the way of posting videos, but now that the summer is over, I have a little bit more free time, and hopefully we'll be posting videos at least once a week. I'd like to start today by concluding the conversation that I had about the Washington State SummerCon. My previous video, I talked about day one, and now I would like to talk about day two of the Washington State SummerCon. Now, the whole reason why I went to this SummerCon, or this Comic-Con, was to see the cast of Daredevil. And Charlie Cox was only supposed to be there on day two. So when I first arrived at the Comic-Con that day, I went straight to his booth. But unfortunately, with travel plans and airline delays and whatnot, he was not able to attend in the morning, and he was going to get there in the afternoon. So the first person that I went to go meet on Saturday was Charles Martinet. Now, you might not recognize the name Charles Martinet, and you might not even recognize his face, but you would definitely recognize his voice since he's been the voice of Mario since 1994. Now, he's also voiced Luigi, Wario, Waluigi in that time in such games as Mario 64, Mario Kart Wii, the Mario Karts all after that, Paper Mario, Luigi's Mansion, and you would definitely know his catchphrases as, "It's-a me, Mario," and "Let's go." Now, Charles Martinet seems like a very, very happy fellow. As he was signing things, he made the voices. So I have a Mario 64 box that I kept from the 90s, and I had him sign it, and as he was signing it, he was saying the catchphrases. So it was nice to have my video game box signed by the person who made all those memorable Mario voices. The next person who I went to see was Wilson Bethel. Now, he played Bullseye on the Netflix Daredevil Season 3, and he reprised his role in Daredevil Born Again. I was able to shake his hand and say thanks for your acting work, and that you really did evoke some very powerful emotions. Now, he didn't say this part, but most of those emotions were that I did not like the character of Bullseye, and I really wish that he would come to a terrible end in the series. Like I said, I did not tell Wilson Bethel this. I just kind of thought it in my head. So after I met Wilson Bethel, Charlie Cox's line had opened up, and his line was exceptionally large and long, which isn't surprising because I think most people who went to the SummerCon on Saturday were there to see Charlie Cox. So one of the cool things about standing in line for Charlie Cox was it was next to the ready room where the guests would come out and walk to their booths. And one of the guests who walked out was Jon Bernthal, who of course plays the Punisher. Now, he came out to very loud cheers and clapping, and as he walked by, I held up my fist and I got fist bumped by the Punisher. Walking behind Jon Bernthal was Henry Ian Cusick, who played Desmond on Lost, and he came out to considerably less cheers and applauses, but I fist bumped him too. So I can say that I fist bumped the Punisher and Desmond, which, I thought was pretty cool. So I kind of found it ironic that I was standing in line to meet the Daredevil character. Now, Daredevil always strives to do the right thing, and as I was standing in line, there were so many people who were trying to cut the line and get ahead of people and, in fact, not doing the right things to meet a character who always does the right thing. So I eventually got to meet Charlie Cox, and I told him I appreciated his work because I watched Daredevil with my daughter when she was a preteen, and at that time, I didn't really know how to relate to preteens, but we watched Daredevil and we had that to bond over. The next person I met was Kevin Eastman, the co-creator and artist of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And I thanked him for, of course, being the artist of the Ninja Turtles and evolving the Ninja Turtles from the 80s through Ronin. And even in between, he was able to do a comic book cover of Daredevil. And so I thought it was kind of cool that I had Kevin Eastman sign the comic book cover that he drew of Daredevil, plus I also had Charlie Cox sign it. I also had him sign a Ronin cover from one of the current Ninja Turtle storylines. The last person I met was Elizabeth Dulau, and she played Clea in the Andor series, and I was able to tell her that I appreciated her work in helping to bring Star Wars to a more grown-up audience. Now, there's a lot of animated series and Star Wars canon that's aimed, I think, for a younger audience, and so I was glad to see that Andor dealt with a lot more adult topics, such as showing that the good guys sometimes have to do really bad things in order for a greater, well, good. Final impressions, I like this Comic-Con. Granted, I've only been to one other Comic-Con before this, and my emphasis at that Comic-Con was to go to panel discussions, and my goals on this Comic-Con was to meet the guests. Were there things that I wanted to do differently? I would have hoped to have had a little bit more time talking to the guests. I would have told Charlie Cox that his Netflix series meant so much to me that I actually cosplayed as Matt Murdock in season 1 of the Netflix Daredevil and as the black-suited Daredevil. I would have asked Kevin Eastman if the Ninja Turtles were, in fact, supposed to live in the Daredevil timeline. Now, I read online that the radioactive material that changed Matt Murdock into Daredevil was also the same material that got on the Ninja Turtles and mutated them. Like I said, though, I read that on the internet, and we all know the internet sometimes does not tell the truth. And finally, I would have liked to have told William Shatner that an episode in his 90s series, Rescue 911, featured my hometown, which was great, but the state was mislabeled, and I'm still waiting for a correction. Just kidding, of course. So that was my trip to the Washington State Comic-Con. I hope you like watching the video. Like, subscribe, comment down below, and we'll see you next time. So long.